The millionaire's daughter had everything that money could buy: expensive clothes, the latest toys, a private tutor, and a luxurious home that looked like something out of a magazine. But there was one thing she didn't have: the ability to walk. From the day she was born, her parents knew something wasn't right. Doctors diagnosed her with a rare condition that made it impossible for her to stand or move without help. Her father, a powerful businessman known for his strict and serious nature, had spared no expense in trying to find a cure. He flew in top specialists from all over the world, paid for advanced therapies, and even purchased custom medical equipment. But despite years of treatment, nothing worked. The little girl, now 6 years old, had grown used to being in a wheelchair. She often sat by the large window in her room, watching other children run and play outside, her small hands pressed against the glass. Her father loved her deeply, but his busy schedule meant he couldn't spend as much time with her as he wanted. Her mother had passed away when she was very young, so most of the day-to-day care fell on a rotation of nannies and nurses. Some of them were kind, but they rarely stayed for long. The little girl needed more than just medical care. She needed patience, emotional warmth, and someone who believed in her. One day, a new nanny arrived. She wasn't like the others. She had a calm voice, warm eyes, and a way of making the little girl laugh within minutes of meeting her. She didn't treat her like a fragile patient, she treated her like a normal child. Instead of spending all day indoors, the nanny would take her outside in her wheelchair, telling her stories about the trees, the clouds, and the changing seasons. The millionaire noticed the change almost immediately. His daughter, who used to be quiet and withdrawn, began to smile more often. She would talk excitedly about the stories the nanny told her, about the songs they sang together, and about the games they played. The father didn't fully understand why, but he felt a strange sense of hope every time he saw them together. What he didn't know was that the nanny had a very different approach to caring for the girl. While the doctors focused only on her physical limitations, the nanny believed in strengthening her spirit first. She would encourage her to try little movements, wiggling her toes, moving her legs slightly, or standing with support for a few seconds. Every small success was celebrated with genuine joy. Sometimes, the millionaire would come home late at night and pass by his daughter's room. He would hear soft giggles and the nanny's gentle voice telling bedtime stories. It was a comforting sound, but he didn't realize just how much it was changing his daughter's life. Weeks passed, and the little girl's confidence began to grow. She still couldn't walk on her own, but she was starting to believe that maybe one day she could. Her father remained cautiously optimistic, afraid to let hope take over after so many failed attempts. But deep down, something told him that this new nanny was special. One afternoon, the millionaire returned home earlier than usual. His meetings had been cancelled, and for once, he had a free evening. As he walked through the grand hallways of his mansion, he expected to find his daughter in her room, perhaps reading a book or drawing with the nanny. But when he reached the door, he heard something strange: soft music playing, the sound of clapping, and a small voice laughing with pure joy. Curious, he peeked through the slightly open door. What he saw made him freeze in place. There, in the middle of the room, the nanny was kneeling on the floor, holding both of his daughter's tiny hands. And the little girl, his little girl who had never walked a single step in her life, was standing. Her legs trembled like the leaves of a tree in the wind, but she was upright, supported only by the nanny's hands. "Come on, sweetheart," the nanny said in a gentle but firm voice. "One step, just one." The father's heart pounded. He wanted to rush in, to stop her, afraid his daughter might fall and hurt herself. But something held him back. He stood silently, gripping the doorframe, watching. The little girl bit her lip and looked down at her feet. For a moment, she seemed ready to give up, but then the nanny leaned closer and whispered something the father couldn't hear. The girl nodded slowly, her face determined. And then it happened. Her right foot moved forward. Just a small step, but a step nonetheless. The nanny clapped her hands. "Yes, you did it." The girl giggled, the sound like a bell ringing in the father's ears. She took another step, then another, each one shaky but real. The nanny never let go, guiding her gently but letting her bear her own weight. The father felt tears welling in his eyes. He had spent millions on treatments, flown his daughter to the best hospitals, and listened to endless medical reports telling him it was impossible. And yet, here was this woman, this ordinary nanny, doing what no one else had managed. The little girl took 3 more steps before collapsing into the nanny's arms. Instead of looking disappointed, the nanny hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you. We'll try again tomorrow, and you'll go even further." The father quietly stepped away from the door, his chest tight with emotion. For the rest of the evening, he couldn't stop thinking about what he'd witnessed. The next day, he approached the nanny after breakfast. "I saw you with my daughter yesterday," he said, his voice low but filled with curiosity. How did you get her to do that?" The nanny smiled modestly. "She just needed someone to believe in her. The doctors said her legs were weak, but her spirit was weaker. I've been working on both." Her words struck him like lightning. He had been so focused on the physical problem that he'd forgotten the emotional side. His daughter didn't just need medicine, she needed faith, encouragement, and love. From that day on, the millionaire started spending more time at home. He joined the sessions, watching as the nanny patiently encouraged his daughter to take more steps each day. They turned the practice into a game, walking toward a favorite toy, a plate of cookies, or straight into her father's waiting arms. Weeks passed, and the change was extraordinary. The girl could now take 5, then 10, then 20 steps without falling. Her laughter filled the mansion, and her eyes sparkled with a newfound confidence. The father, once cold and distant due to his busy life, found himself smiling more than he had in years. One sunny afternoon, they decided to try something special. The nanny led the little girl out into the garden, where a soft carpet of grass waited beneath her feet. The father stood a few meters away, arms wide open. "Ready?" the nanny asked. The little girl nodded, her tiny face full of determination. She took a deep breath and began walking toward her father. Each step was slow but steady, her bare feet sinking slightly into the grass. The father's heart felt like it would burst. She reached him, and instead of collapsing into his arms, she wrapped her small arms around his neck and whispered, "I did it, Daddy." He lifted her up and spun her around, tears streaming down his face. "Yes, you did, my brave girl. You did it." From that day on, their lives changed forever. The little girl continued to improve, and within months, she was walking without help. The nanny remained by their side, not just as a caretaker but as part of the family. The millionaire never forgot the lesson she taught him, that sometimes, the greatest miracles don't come from money, medicine, or machines, but from belief, patience, and love. And every time he saw his daughter running across the garden, he remembered that one afternoon when he peeked through the door and saw the impossible happening right before his eyes.